All my life I've heard about hard depression days. They so resemble times we're living now. And old news of yesteryear sounds like yesterday.
It was the biggest economic oscillation capitalism has suffered in your history to shake the foundations of the classic liberalism that held it. This crisis began in the middle of 1929. Its epicenter was in the United States. It lasted about a decade and like unfolding like social and political. The economic plan of New Deal was the main responsible for economic recovery of EUA, being adopted as a model of other economies in crisis.
The 1949 crisis, which became popularly known as the Great Depression, was a major economic crisis that preceded into the Second World War and was considered the worst and the largest period of economic recession in the 20th century. Among all the consequences, the crisis was broke. We can mention the high unemployment rates, the decrease in industrial production and several costs, as well as the sharp fall in GDP, stock prices, among others. Virtually everyone has been embroiled in this difficult time, which was apparently the economic activities of dozens of countries. Once the closes of hundreds of commercial and industrial enterprises, while destabilized unemployment rates and further originated the effect of the recession. American industrial product began to fall, given his due they would be known as the Great Depression. This economic recession dragged on until October 24.
World War I, there were some European countries had twin economic ruin, while the United States care more and more profiling from the exporting offered under industrial production, a country that mined the causing the 1949 and crisis Arvelican the arms total desregulation offer their economic ruin, alarming overproductive might offer products under industrial productive. The consumption capacity of their population did not absurdly grant generalizing large stock of production so that companies had to produce less under the observed result after the employment generalizing the reproduction of salaries. Yes, the effort in your dwelling the lack of economic value more the most often country boundary the US. As the Grand Depression there often unions spread under spread and productive for the year the union starts mas money brancas the last money friend to play the trend reproducing too. The most affected country were assessed the most developed capitalist economists are more the Union States, Canada, Germany, France, Italy, under the United Kingdom. The Soviet Union, where the economy for the right socialist was later affected consequence the industrialization country with percent here Latin American and the agro-exporter economic was the most affected by the reproduction of hand material exporter. Is often the turning like less and losser over the nerd over interaction under step planner over the economy as well as the obligation of the Estado do prover social under economic assistance do torsen most affected by the crazy of capitalism.
The crisis of 29 was a crisis that became more important in the United States and spread to the entire capitalist world, including Brazil. In addition, there is a financial crisis of overproduction. Falling prices and industrial purchase are not enough, as firms tend to close down, lose power brutally, reduce purchasing power, and consequently reduce demand. This crisis had no social class of breadth, reached all of the vesting forms. Classes are mediated by the progression of bankruptcies in commerce, crafts, and industry. The bourgeoisie itself was compromised by numerous bankruptcies. The peasants were ruined and the workers were employed. From the fall of Wall Street, the economic negotiation was generalized, accentuated by the social misery. The crisis swept across North America, Europe, and Brazil, especially São Paulo, which was the main supplier of coffee to foreign markets financially disturbed by the Great Depression. The best consumer market were the United States. Therefore, a policy of valorization of coffee was entered into collapse, affluent of rebirth of the national economy.
So we can conclude that the crisis of 1929 affected not only the United States, but also Europe, Asia, Africa, and even Brazil, being considered one of the most overwhelming factors that shocked the world at the time, with the strong social conflicts that occurred due to the most terrible economic crisis. It was necessary to create measures, such as the New Deal for recovery, but this did not result of the expected success, but managed control. The Brazilian debt, because of its production centered on coffee cultivating, did not resist to see its merchandise rot because of lot of buyers and the lagged prices. Therefore, to present its economic dependence on such productions was also affected. Some countries such as Germany and Italy had to adopt authoritarian regimes to implement unpopular measures, solve this crisis. This event allows us to be able to take preventive measures for recovering possible crisis situations, since the desperation has repercussions to date on the way of the life on the world. The confusion caused by the crisis created a climate in Europe responsible for outbreak of Second World War between 1939 and 1945. But this case would create the conditions for a new economic impulse of United States, since the production of armament increased the number of employees and made big profits for companies. It was the greatest economic impact in the history.
It was the biggest economic oscillation capitalism has suffered in your history, to shake the foundations of the classic liberalism that held it. This crisis began in the middle of 1929. Its epicenter was in the United States and lasted about a decade and like unfolding like social and political. The economic plan of New Deal was the main responsible for economic recovery of EUA, being adopted as a model of other economies in crisis.
The 1949 crisis, which became popularly known as the Great Depression, was a major economic crisis that preceded into the Second World War and was considered the worst and the largest period of economic resistance in the 20th century. Among all the consequences,